both restructuring and Igbo presidency are needed ingredients, balm, needed for the healing of our very sick country. Nigeria is sick politically, economically. You see Machiavellian principles being executed right, left, and center without any conscience. So the cry is for justice, social justice. It is for equity. It is for fair play. We appeal to the rest of the country, every Nigerian, to hear and listen to our cries.
You must have heard President Atiku Abubakar recently saying that if the presidency is zoned to the southeast, he will step down. But if it's zoned to southwest or south-south, he will not. Now, you have heard great Nigerians across the country. Everywhere we went, we were encouraged. And they saw with us what the Southeast presidency will bring to Nigeria at this time. Peace, unity. These are two great things that are lacking in our country today.
They never let any person from the Southeast get near. And then they will tell the Southeasterner, oh, this and that they will get there. How are you going to get there? And I continue to reiterate it, and I ask everybody in APC, if you don't let me be your gate man, how can you give me the key to your house? Because if you want me to be president, that means you're going to bring me in. I'm going to be part of what you do. I'm going to have a role in your government.
We are not looking for an Igbo president. We are looking for a president of Nigeria. And me as a party, APC, we believe that what we are practicing here is partisan democracy. And every politician must be loyal to his party. At the end of the day, it is the decision of the political party you belong to that will matter.
I think, naturally, it should be somebody from the southeast. I'm not saying this because I'm from the southeast. Somebody from the southeast that will now replace him. And that will give the opposite of South versus North and Christian versus Muslim. And it will bring stability to our nation. The Southwest has 8 years as president, 8 years as vice president. The South, they have 8 years vice president and president. Where is the justice? Where is the justice? Where is the justice? We need to do what is right.
Nigeria, the giant of Africa, a country of over 200 million people, more than 250 ethnic groups, and a democracy that has endured military coups, civil war, and turbulent transitions. Since independence in 1960, Nigeria's highest political seat, the presidency, has been occupied by men from the north, from the Yoruba southwest, and from the oil-rich south-south. But from the Igbo southeast, not once, not in 64 years. The question is as uncomfortable as it is unavoidable. Why? Why is it that in a country where the Igbo are one of the 3 major ethnic groups known for their industry, education, and political participation, the presidency has remained out of reach? Is it the ghost of the Biafra War that still haunts Nigerian politics? Is it fear from the north, the south-south, and the southwest that an Igbo president would change the power balance forever? Or is it the Igbo themselves? This is not just a story about elections, it is a story about history, mistrust, political survival, and a presidency that for the Igbo has remained a dream deferred. To understand today's politics, you must go back to 1967. Nigeria was barely 7 years old as an independent nation when it plunged into one of the bloodiest civil war in African history. The build-up was explosive. A military coup in January of 1966, led mostly by young Igbo officials, including some other Nigerians from different parts of the country, overthrew the government. Many of the political leaders killed were from the north and the west, although the coup plotters claimed they wanted to end corruption. Northern politicians saw it as an Igbo plot to dominate Nigeria. A counter-coup followed in July of 1966, this time led by northern officials, and it was even bloodier. Thousands of Igbo soldiers and civilians were killed. Then came the pogroms, mass killings of Igbo people in northern cities. Trains and lorries arrived in east, packed with survivors carrying stories of scars and loss. Faced with these violence, the eastern Nigerian's military governor, Chukwuma Odumegwu Ojukwu, declared the independence of the Republic of Biafra on May 30, 1967. The Nigerian Civil War, or the Biafra War, began. 3 years later, over 1 million people were dead, most from starvation caused by the federal blockade. Biafra surrendered in January of 1970. The head of state, General Yakubu Gowon, declared no victory, no vanquish. But in reality, the Southeast was treated as the vanquished. Properties were confiscated. All bank accounts of Igbo people were reduced to £2, no matter how much money they had before the war. The military and civil service became closed space for Igbo advancement. And quietly, though never officially stated, the unwritten rule emerged: the presidency must never go to the Igbo again. That single war closed the political door, and 54 years later, it has never been reopened. If Nigeria were a chessboard, the North would be the player holding most of the pieces. With 19 of the Nigerian 36 states, a larger population, and more local government areas, the North has a permanent voting advantage. In presidential elections, that advantage is everything. The North can make or break any presidential candidate. When it comes to the Igbo, northern political elites have been cautious, even suspicious. The memories of 1966 and the Biafra War still run deep. For some, the fear is that an Igbo president might first revisit restructuring and even weakening the northern political dominance, push for resource control that divides oil wealth away from northern development, empower separatist tendencies in the southeast. This is why even when the presidency is zoned to the south, the north has often preferred a Yoruba or a South-South candidate, leaders they see as more predictable partners. In 1999, when Nigeria returned to democracy, the late Alex Ekwueme, a respected Igbo former vice president, was in the running, but the military power brokers rallied around Olusegun Obasanjo, a Yoruba, to heal wounds from the annulled 1993 election that denied Yoruba businessman MKO Abiola the presidency. It was a clear message: the North will choose the South's president, and for now, that choice is not Igbo. On papers, the South-South and the Southeast should be natural allies. They share geographical proximity, a history in the old eastern region, and grievances against the federal center. But politics is rarely about friendship. It is about interest. Before 1967, the Igbo-dominated politics and civil service of the eastern region, which includes today's South-South states. Many Niger Delta minorities, the Ijos, Ishekiri, Ibibio, Efik, still remember feeling sidelined in their own region. When Goodluck Jonathan from Bayelsa State became president in 2010, it was the first time the South-South tasted the power of Aso Rock. Oil wealth flowed to the Niger Delta. Federal appointment favored the region. The unspoken reality: many South-South elites feared that an Igbo president will recenter development and influence towards the Southeast, reducing their own leverage. So in election after election, the South-South has often made separate deals with the North, rather than joining forces with the Igbo for a united Southern push. Brothers in history, rivals in politics. The Yoruba Southwest and Igbo Southeast has long competed for the political leadership of the southern Nigeria. In the First Republic, the rivalry played out between Obafemi Awolowo and Nnamdi Azikiwe. In recent years, it has been between Bola Tinubu and Peter Obi. The Southwest has mastered a strategy that has eluded the Southeast: unity of purpose. When the Yoruba decides they want the presidency, they close ranks, behind a single candidate and negotiate with the North for support. This is how Obasanjo emerged in 1999. It is how Tinubu rose in 2023. The Igbo, by contrast, often produce multiple presidential aspirants, splitting their own votes and weakening their bargaining power. For many Yoruba political leaders, supporting an Igbo candidate means a hanging over southern dominance, and in Nigerian politics, power once lost is hard to regain. Here is the uncomfortable truth. Not all the obstacles are external. The Southeastern's political fragmentation has been one of its biggest handicaps, with only 5 states compared to the Northern 19 and Southwest 6. The Igbo starts every presidential race with a number disadvantage. But instead of compensating through strategic alliances, the region often enter elections divided. In 2023, P2B carried the hopes of millions of Nigerians, not just Igbos, but other Igbo politicians, still backed Atiku Abubakar of the PDP and Bola Tinubu of the APC, diluting the Southeastern bargaining power. Without a united political front and a single negotiator-in-chief, the Igbo cause remains easy to sideline. Behind ethnicity, there is another reason the political establishment from all regions fears an Igbo president. Change. The Igbos are known for their entrepreneurial drive, industrial vision, and blunt instance on merits. An Igbo president might push aggressive restructuring, demand physical federalism, scrap patronage system that benefits entrenched elites. For politicians who thrive on the inefficiency of Nigeria's current system, such reforms are dangerous. So, the resistance to an Igbo president isn't just about a history. It is about protecting the status quo. The presidency that never came is more than an Igbo dream. It is a test for Nigerian democracy. If a major ethnic group can be locked out of leadership for decades, what does that say about national unity? If history's wounds continues to dictate politics, how can the country move forward? In 2023, P2B proved that an Igbo candidate can inspire nationwide enthusiasm. He didn't win, but he cracked the glass ceiling. The question now is simple. Will the North, South-South and the Southwest ever open the door fully? Or will the Igbo have to keep knocking until the hinge finally breaks? Drop your thoughts in the comment. Like this video if you believe in fairness in politics, and subscribe for more deep dive into Nigerians' untold political truths. Because in Nigeria, the fight for the presidency is never just about politics. It is about history. It is about power. And for the Igbo, it is about a promise that is still waiting to be kept. Thank you so much for watching this video.